Hey, what's going on, guys? In today's video we are inside of Affinity Designer and we're going to put together a custom made birthday card. So the first thing we need to do is select the size of the canvas that we want. So if we head over to the preset section just over there on the left, and we are going to go for a size A7 because that is perfect for a birthday card. And once you've selected that and highlighted it, just head over to the layout section. And what we need to ensure on this, because we are printing, if you wish to print, is make sure your DPI is on 300, as that will give you the best printing quality possible. And once we've got that, just definitely make sure that you are on portrait rather than landscape, and everything else we can just ignore. We're just going to come down and hit that create button. Okay, so now we're inside of the main interface. We have our canvas in front of us, and for this project I think I'm going to do a card for someone who may have twins, as that's not really something you see often. You get a lot of these websites where you can just upload a photo and you can just change the text. But for me, that's not personal enough. I like to do something from scratch. And if you guys are like me, then this is going to be perfect for you. Okay, so first thing I want you to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to grab our pen tool. So I'm just wanting you to come over here now to the edge of the canvas on the top left hand corner and just let it snap just like that. We see that red line. If you're not seeing this snap automatically, then just make sure you've got that magnet up there checked, which is called snapping. So let's go back over now and we're just going to create a point. Just tap there, and I want you then to come down to this bottom right hand corner and we'll snap another point there. Then I want you to come over to the left bottom corner, snap a point, and then just bring it all the way back around itself again up there. And then we've created a kind of triangle shape here. So at this point we can come off the pen tool, just select your arrow tool at the top there, and we're going to give this a fill. So I'm just going to choose blue for now. We may change this later. We're going to actually put a photo in here, so it's not going to matter too much. So I'm going to have that blue for the moment. I'm going to turn that stroke off there with that black one behind and hit that circle with a red bar through it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to come over to our layers. You guys are probably already on layers, but I was on character originally. Okay, so once we're in our layers, we just want to make a copy of this one. So we hit Command C for copy and Command V to paste. And I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit so I can just see what's going on here as I rotate this. So I want you guys now to rotate this all the way around to fill up this white space here. And if you hold down Shift at the same time of turning, it will just lock into place on that perfect degree. And just take it all the way around until it locks right there. And we'll just change the colour of this one to just pink for the moment. Okay, and it's not looking very good at all at the minute, but we don't need to worry about these colours right now. So the next thing we are going to do is find some images to put inside of these. Hopefully you guys have got your own images if you are actually looking to print this for maybe your own children or somebody you know. But if you don't, then what we can do is head over here to the stock section. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what the stock section is for, it's basically, it allows us to go to 3 different websites in this checkbox here, and these websites have thousands upon thousands of images which have been uploaded from people all around the world, and you are free to use these images however you like. All that these require is that you just give written credit to any of the photos that you use for the author or the creator. So for instance, if you guys was to put this in a book, you just put their name at the back of the book, photo by such a person. And it's as simple as that. Same as if you upload it online, just make sure you put their name in there just to show appreciation for the work that they've done. So let's get started. First of all, this is going to be a kid's card. So I'm just going to search for baby and see what we find. And just to quickly show you, if you hover over these images, you see a name will pop up. Sometimes it's just a description of what the picture is. Other times you will see a name of who created it. It's not happening on all of them, but we're just going to find something that we like for the moment. I like this one here, I think, as a starting point. And since I've updated to the latest version of Affinity Designer, I'm having a problem with this stock section. It's only appearing with certain amount of images, and that isn't right. It's something they need to fix. It never used to do in the previous version. So if you guys are having this problem as well, all you need to do is just hit your scroll wheel on your mouse and it'll just appear like that. I don't know why it does that, but it's just a fault which I need to sort out on the next one. So moving on, we're going to grab this image right there. We're going to pull it in. And when we drop it, we should get a little notification up in the corner, just up here, who tells you who made that image. So if you take note of that name there and just place that wherever you need to put it, then that is all you need to do in terms of using these images. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom out with Command minus, and I'm just going to resize this image to roughly fill up this blue section right there. And what I want to do at this point is going to come back over to our layers, and we want to drag this image now inside of this blue triangle over here. So we're going to grab the image, we're going to pull it down, and we've got this big blue bar, and I just want you to slide that over to the right till that bar shrinks. And just drop it inside, and that is inside that image. So if we select this one here, we can move that shape as a whole, but we don't want to do that. So I'll just hit Command Z there just to undo that. So we want to click on the image itself, which now means we are free to move this image around the shape inside of it. So what I want to do is line this up best I can with getting his face in there. I may have to make it a little bit bigger. It might not work perfectly, but it'd be good enough for this demonstration. So I'm going to leave that one like that for the moment. And looking at it, I don't like how it stands out so much. I kind of like it to blend in. So using these colors in the background could be a good thing. So if we just click on this image and we just bring our opacity down slightly, maybe by about 20%, and just fade that into the blue. If we bring it all the way down, you see that blue come through. But I want to bring it up just so it's not so in your face, just so it blends in nicely. I'm going to keep that about 70 and maybe change that later on. We'll see how it goes. And now we need to put an image in the pink section too. So if we come back over to the stock and we look now for another image that we want to use, just have a little scroll through, see what you like. Like I said, hopefully you guys have got your own images if you want to print this for yourself or for someone else that may have twins. Or this doesn't have to be for twins, it could be for anyone. It could be for a single child, a boy or a girl, it's your choice. So I think I like that one there looking at it because it gives me freedom to zoom in. As you can see, she's got plenty around her, which means if we zoom in, we can cut all of this out and focus mainly on her. So I'm just going to drag that one in. Once again, you'll see the name pop up just up there. Now, this is an absolutely massive photo, so we're going to have to zoom out again with Command minus, resize this image, just drag that in, and just move that into place for the minute. And I'm just going to zoom back in with Command plus, or if you hit Command 0, that will make it fit to your screen. Okay, looking at this, I think I want to flip around the other side as well. So I'm just going to right click on that. I'm going to go to transform and I'm going to flip horizontal, just so she's facing the other way. This isn't really important. I just think it might look better in the long run. So once I've done that, I'm going to go back to my layers again. And now we need to drag her inside of the purple one. Same process that we did with the last photo. Just pull that down and pull it over until it shrinks and then drop it in. And then remember, if you click on this one, you can move the whole shape, which we don't want to do, so Command Z. So just ensure you click on the image itself and we are free to move that around. So if we just, we're going to make this a lot bigger now and try and get the main focus on her. And that could work. I might bring it down a little bit smaller. Kind of trial and error, guys. This is a designer's choice of how you want to do this. Or maybe I'll make it bigger. Yeah, I'm going to leave it like that just for the moment. So Command 0 just to come back in. And once again, I'm going to fade her into the pink like we did on the last one. So just get your opacity and take that to around 70 as well. And see how that looks. That looks pretty good. So you guys are free to have this at 100% if you want to. I'm just trying different things and seeing how it turns out. Okay, so what we've got to do now is just add some text and give these guys some names. So let's come over here and grab the artistic text tool on the left hand side and just drag this out to a rough size that we want. So I think something like that. And I think we're going to call the little girl Jessie. And maybe we'll call the little boy Toby. Yeah, Toby's good, but I'm going to put these in separate boxes instead of one to give us more freedom to move them around where we want them. So once I write Jessie, I'm just going to make a copy of that one now. So Command C, Command V to paste it. Just going to drag that down there a little bit. Then I'm going to double click to edit it and we'll call this guy Toby. Okay, and then we need kind of I think maybe an ampersand in the middle of here just to say Jesse and Toby. So if we can copy that again, just Command C, Command V. We'll edit that one again and we'll just give that an ampersand. There we go. And before we start to move it roughly where we want it, I think we just need to change the colors a little bit. And because we got a girl, I think if we go for maybe a purple or pink kind of color for her text, something like that looks good. And then I want to give her an outline as well. So if we come down to the effects menu down here, you can do an outline up here with a stroke, but I like to use the effects in case I want to put a drop shadow on it, which I possibly will do. So if we come down to the effects menu down the bottom there, and we are going to look for outline. So we just check that box, and we're going to change our color here from black to white. And it's going to change to the color wheel there. And just come off of that and change this radius until we find the size that we are happy with. So I think I'm going to go for maybe 2 pixels. Looks pretty good to me. And once I've got that, then I am going to give it an outer shadow as well, just to give it a bit more depth. So we're going to choose the outer shadow right there. And our radius and offset are the only things we really need to change here. So I think if we put maybe 5 and 5 and see how that looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. And I'm just going to come off that. I think I might make my pink a little bit lighter. But this is your choice. Something like that looks good to me. And we're just going to do the same thing with Toby. So now we'll select Toby and we'll give him a colour of blue perhaps. Maybe something a bit darker. And once again back onto... In fact, instead of me doing this, I'll show you a shortcut of this. What we can actually do is come back to Jesse. We select Jesse and we hit Command C to copy. We're going to select Toby once again and come up to your edit menu at the top. And if you go on to paste effect, just like that, it copies exactly what we had over there onto this one. So that is a very quick and easy way of doing that. And looking at Toby, I think I want a bit darker blue. Maybe something like that. I could change this later on, but we'll just see how it goes. And we've got this big ampersand here, which I do want to make a lot bigger because I'm going to put it in between these texts and let them overlap it. And I'm going to give that maybe a gradient to mix both of these colors together. So what we need to do for that is come up to this top menu here on the left hand side and just select that font color. And we've got this gradient option right there. So once we're on there, just select that white, choose that color right there and grab your eyedropper tool here. And we're going to sample that color pink. And just hit that right there. And then we're going to do the same over here with the black. And just going to sample that color blue. So we've got a combination of both. And you can just change it a little bit if you want. Maybe make the blue a bit darker. And just make the pink a bit darker as well. Just to make it slightly different to the text itself. And you can play around with these types here just to give it a slightly different effect. I kind of like that one. That's not really changed it at all. That one looks silly. So I think I'm going to leave it. I kind of like it like that, but I want it reversed. I want more purple than pink. So to do that, we'll go on gradient reverse. And that is exactly what I'm looking for right now. So I'm going to come off there. And I'm going to put an effect on this one. But instead of doing an outline and drop shadow, I think with this, I'm going to do an embossed effect. Almost like it's inside of the card. So if we go back down to the effects. And we'll go into bevel and emboss. And straight away, that's definitely too much. So I'm going to bring this radius down just to soften it up, but kind of give you that outline effect there where it looks as though it's embossed into the picture. So 1 pixel, I think, looks pretty good. You can go a bit higher if you want to. This is your choice. For me, I think that maybe is a bit too strong. So I'm going to stick at the 1 pixel for now and maybe change it later. So once you're happy with that, we're going to come out of there and then we're going to try and line this up where we want it. So straight away, we know this needs to be at the back of the text. So it's just a case of coming over to your layers and reordering these. So we're just going to grab our ampersand and just drag that down beneath both the other texts. And now that is in the background. I'm just going to line this up roughly where I think it may look good. And I think I'm going to make that a little bit bigger as well. So something like that I think is fine. I'm quite happy with that. Maybe bring it over a little bit. Like I said before, this is your choice how you want to do this. looking at it, I think maybe I should actually center it more in the Jessie section. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that, I think, at the moment, but I may change it. But straight away it's coming over her face, which is something that we don't want to do because we're taking away the fact that we can't see her. So maybe what we should do is just maybe shrink all of these fonts at the same time, just a little bit. So if we select Toby and we hold down Command and we select Jessie and we select that one as well, we can just come and shrink all this at the same time and hold down Shift, guys, to keep that proportion and get a size that you're more happy with. So I don't mind it being slightly over her face, like over her hood here, as long as we can still see her face. And that's looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with that, I think. Okay, so I think Toby looks good, but I think Jessie I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because it is a slightly longer name. So just bring it down to around there and just drag that over. Maybe line that up with a B roughly. So something like that is fine. Okay, and this font is just a standard Arial. I'm going to leave it like that for the moment. You guys can change that if you want to. It's entirely up to you. Okay, so what we are going to do next is I'm going to put a border around this picture. So we're going to grab our rectangle tool over here. We'll just drag that out, let it snap into each corner and just fill the whole page. And we are going to turn off this fill right here with that circle with a cross in between it. With the line, sorry, not the cross. And we're going to come into the one at the back there, which is our stroke, and we'll give that color white. And then we're going to change the size of our stroke by coming over here to the left hand side, and we're just going to bring that up to a size that we roughly want. So I think around 2 pixels is fine, and I don't like rounded corners, so if I bring this in, you guys can see here this is rounded, and that's not what I want for this design. So I'm just going to select that again, and to get rid of that we're going to come back to the stroke section again, and on this join here we're just going to change it right there to that mitre join. And then now we've got these straight corners instead. Okay, and then we're just going to move this back to where we just had it. Okay, so what we want to do now is come down to our transform section down here. If you guys aren't seeing this transform section, then just once again head up to your view menu, down to your studio, and just make sure that you've got transform checked right there. And once we're down here, we just want to pay attention to our width and our height here, because I want to deduct some numbers here just to bring it in and make sure it stays central the whole way around it. So first of all, 74 at the top, I think we're going to just bring that in maybe 5 pixels. So if we change that to 69, just like that, and then we'll do the same with the height. We'll bring that down 5, so we'll make that 100. And then all we're going to do at this point is just drag this now into the center so that it locks like that, with your green and your red line. And now we've got the perfect gap all the way around this. And that is looking pretty good. If anything, it's a bit too bold. So I'm just going to bring that stroke down to maybe 1.5 or even 1. I'm going to leave it at 1 at the moment. And I'm going to stick a drop shadow on that one too. So back to the effects and outer shadow. And we'll give that 5 and 5 again and see how that looks. Might be a bit much. Yep, it is. So we'll give that maybe a 2 and give that a try. That's looking more subtle and better. So we're getting there now. It's beginning to look pretty good. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to add up here some kind of text. Maybe something like "to our beautiful twins," for instance. That will do fine. So I'm just going to grab that artistic text tool again. Just drag this out. "To our beautiful twins." And I'm going to straight away change the color of that one to white. So come back to our fill instead of our stroke. And we'll just give that color white. And it's going to make that a bit smaller. Definitely changing this font because it's not what I want. So I'm going to come over here to the font section, and I will put down the fonts in the description if you guys can't see what it is I'm choosing here. So I'm just going to go through these quickly and look for something maybe kind of handwritten. I think it kind of always looks better on cards. And just find something that you like. For me, that Great Vibes there stands out really nicely, so I'm going to choose that one, and straight away I like that already. So back to our move tool, and we're just going to put this roughly in the center and let that snap with that green bar in the middle there. And the font size comes down to you. You can have this as big as small as you want. I think that's a good size straight away anyway, so I may just leave it the way it is. And all I'm going to do here is put a drop shadow on this one. So back down to the effects, out of shadow, and we're going to try 5 and 5 again because it's not too small. We might get away with that. Yeah, it's not working, so maybe 3 and 3 instead. But trial and error with this. Just do what you feel looks best for you. Even still, I think I might go 2 and 2. Okay, that looks better to me. And no matter what, a design never comes out perfect first time, so don't assume that you're going to jump straight in and get it right straight away. You're going to have to keep changing things until something looks good to you. So I'm going to leave that the way it is for the moment. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is perhaps put a couple of balloons into the picture, but we're going to have to draw these. So that is quite straightforward. We're going to come over here to our tool section over here, our shapes, and we're going to choose an tier tool right down there. And this is mainly the reason I'm in Affinity Designer. You can do this inside of Publisher or Affinity Photo, even Photoshop and Illustrator. But the main reason really is because I'm using random shapes here that maybe we might need to change and manipulate a bit. So that is the main reason for being an Affinity Designer, but you don't have to use this program. Okay, so once we've got our teardrop selected, we're just going to drag this out, and automatically this will be upside down, but it's not important at the moment. So let's get the rough balloon shape you're happy with. So that is looking okay. So I'm just going to come straight up here. We're going to turn our stroke off, just with that circle with a line in it again, and we'll give this one the color of blue. And we'll just sample that darker blue like we did before, just for now. And I'm just going to rotate this. Like I said, if you hold down shift, it will lock that proportions into the rotation. And just going to turn it a little bit like that as though it's floating away. And I'm going to move this into place. This is definitely too big at the minute, so I'm going to shrink it down. And hold down shift to make sure that proportion stays perfect. So I'm going to put you around there. Let's zoom in at this point with Command plus and just create the little bottom of this. So we can do that using really a triangle. So if we just draw out a triangle, something like that is fine. And we're just going to rotate that to the same degree, which was 15 degrees if I recall. And then we're just going to line it up in the bottom. That is perfectly fine. It's not the best balloon, but it will do for this. So we select both of these together, just hit Command, we'll select them both. Actually, I'm going to make that a little bit smaller because it's definitely too big and it's one of them things that will bug me. Just going to make it smaller, bring it over, see how that looks. It's better than it was, it will do because I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's select this triangle and we're going to select the teardrop at the same time by holding down Command. Then I want you to come up here to this little menu up here and I want you to hit this plus button right there, which will combine both them shapes into one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is maybe give this a highlight and some shadows. So we'll select this balloon. We're going to come over here to our fill tool right there. And we're just going to drag that across just to make it darker on one side. And we could keep these two colors. We don't really need to mess with that. That is looking okay. So if you're happy with that, you come off it. If you're not happy with it, just select it and then come up here and you can just change these colors here. But for me, I'm quite happy with that. And what I'm going to do now is just put a little highlight in here. So all we're going to do for that is we're going to grab the pencil tool, which is that one right there. And I'm just going to draw a line straight over it, just a curved line, just a quick line. Just like that. Okay, and I'm going to change the color of that, which will be a stroke because it's a single line, to white. And I'm going to make it bigger, just with a width up there, and just drag that out to roughly about 3 is fine. And then we are going to come down to the effects. We are going to put a Gaussian blur, however you like to pronounce that. And we're just going to blur that right out, kind of like that. And we are going to then drag this inside of the balloon like we did with the photos on the triangle. Just get that big blue bar, slide it across till it shrinks and drop it in there. And that should be fine. So if we zoom out a little bit, that balloon is looking pretty good. So it is as simple as that. So what we're going to do next is maybe just draw a bit of string coming off the balloon. And then we'll make a copy of that and change the color and put it over here. So to make the string, once again, we're just going to grab the pencil tool and we're just going to draw some random shape. So we just bring it from here and we just have it go in just squiggly, wherever you want it to go, that's fine. And straight away, that stroke is far too big, so I'm going to bring that down to, I think 0.5 is probably a good number. And I don't like it being white because it stands out a little bit too much, so I might go more into the grey section, just so it's there but more subtle. So once you've got something you're happy with, we need to then make sure we bring him behind the balloon. So drop that down. So it kind of looks like the string's coming off there, but you can see it's going over the text. I want that behind the text as well. So if we select the balloon here and we hit Command and select that one underneath for the string, and we hit Command G to group that, all we've got to do now is just bring this down behind all that text. And now that will sit behind it. And once we've grouped it, we can just now make a copy of the group, Command C, Command V. Just going to drag this over here. I'm going to flip it around so it's the opposite direction. And to do that, we're just going to come up here to this flip horizontal. And there we go. Then we just got to come in here and change the color. So we open up this group and we select back on the blue. We can just come in here and change this gradient. So come back to our fill tool and back up here. And we just got to maybe sample the same color that we got there. So let's go over here first. We're going to just sample that one. And then we're going to want the darker purple over here. So easy way around that is either sample that one there, which is a bit darker, or just get that for the moment and then just come over here, make it a bit darker yourself, which is looking quite good like that. So I'm quite happy to leave it like that for now. Or maybe in fact, we're going to go for a completely different color, just take it away from the Jesse color and just go with yellow. So I'm going to want a darker yellow there for the shadow. In fact, the shadow lies on this side, so we will flip that in a moment. So let's have brighter yellow over here and the darker yellow over here. So something like that is looking pretty good. And you can see that we got a highlight here now, which shouldn't be here. It should be over this side. So we just got to flip that round, just like we did before. And then just move that over with a move tool to position it where you want to put it. So something like that is fine. It's not so in your face there, but you can see the highlight is still there. So that is looking pretty good. I'm quite happy with that at the moment. So we can come back and change that later. Straight away, we've got the issue with the string here again coming over her face. But because these are going to be two different balloons, they've got to look different anyway. So we're going to edit that string. So at this point, there's two different things we can do. We can come over to the node tool on your left-hand side here, and we can start deleting some of these points here just by selecting any of them, hitting delete, getting rid of the ones that you don't want. And what you decide to keep, you can just drag it, and then you can just reshape it there to look a bit more natural. And that is one quick way of doing it. If you guys are happy with that, you are welcome to do that. Another way is just to draw out the line again to get the exact shape you want from the start. So I think I will leave it just like this to keep it simple for now. But if we click on the string itself and we come over to our stroke section up here, if we come down to pressure and if you hold down Option and pull it down, it will start to get smaller as it goes down to the bottom of the string, as you can see, almost like it kind of fades out. And I think that could be a good effect. So if we keep that for the moment and we do that on the other one as well, and just come up to that stroke, go onto that pressure, hold down Option and just make the bottom come in slightly so it fades it away as it gets smaller towards the bottom. And that is looking pretty good. So I'm just going to hit Command 0 so I can see all of it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is give these guys an age. And my reason for choosing these pictures in particular was because they look around the same age. I know they don't necessarily look like they're twins, but that doesn't matter because this is just to show you guys how to put this together. So we are now going to create kind of like a badge just to say age 1, I think we'll go with. So let's first of all grab our artistic text tool. And I'm going to drag that out. And I'm going to make that big and I'm going to give that the number 1. And I'm just going to come off that and change my font straight away to something that looks bolder. So a font I use a lot for being the bold font is called Impact. So I'm going to see if I can find that one. That one right there. I kind of like using that. And I think that will be perfect. So I'm just going to drag that down to roughly where I want it. Maybe make it a bit smaller. And I'm just going to copy that. Command C, Command V. So we can just keep that same font but change it. So I'm going to put today. And I'm just going to grab that arrow tool just to resize that. And I'm just going to center it with the D. Maybe bring that up a little bit so it sits slightly inside it. So once you've lined it up to where you want it, we are going to grab that fill tool again and give this a gradient. So we are going to combine both these colors together that we've got up here to keep it consistent with the design. So I'm just going to come up here and we'll change these colors. So we'll sample Toby's blue. And then we will sample Jess's pink. And we'll see how that kind of comes out. So a little bit dark, not really what I'm going for. So let's change the color of that blue, make it more of a baby blue. Yeah, I think I kind of like that a little bit better, but I think I want to reverse it. I like the blue to be on this side and the pink on the other. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. That looks pretty good. And you can put a drop shadow on this if you want. We'll give it a try and see how it looks. So outer shadow, and we'll go for a 5. It might be a little bit much. It's always best to start high and go back down. Yeah, so we'll say about 3. I think we'll be fine for this one. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And on the 1, we are going to give that this purpley pink color we got there. So if we just sample that, maybe make it a little bit darker once we've got that color. Yeah, I'm just gonna make that just slightly darker. Something like that is looking pretty good. So there is our one today badge, and we'll move this around in a minute to somewhere that might look better. But first of all, I want to put a shape in the background of this. So we're going to come over to our shape tools, and I want something like that double star there. And I'm just going to drag this right out. And it's nice that it turned yellow because that was a color I was actually going for. So that works out well. I'm just going to put that behind at the moment, all of that text. And these points here, I want a lot more of these points than what we got. So to change that, we're going to come up here to where it says points. And I'm just going to make that bigger or add more even. So I think 11 is looking quite good for what I'm after. And then we just need to move this into place. Okay, so now let's move this over to somewhere we think it looks better. So we're going to select all of this at once. So we'll get that double star. And we just need to find that 1, which is our hold down command and that today. And then we can just move this over. It's going to bring that up a little bit. This might be a little bit too big for you guys. If it is, then just drag it down a little bit. Something like that might be better anyway. And I'm just going to keep it slightly. What I'm going to do, I'm going to snap it over to these white lines, this border. And then I'm going to use my shift button and my arrows. So my arrow up and my arrow left to give this the exact same spacing. So first of all, I'm going to count maybe 3 to 5 across to the left. So 1, 2, 3. 3 is good enough, I think. So holding down that shift button, guys, push the up arrow key as well. 1, 2, 3. So now that is equal spacing on both sides. In fact, looking at it, I don't like that big spacing. I'm going to bring that in closer. So just remember to hold down shift as you move it back over. So I think I'm just going to keep it that 1. So if we snap, just bring it up 1. On both sides, and I'm quite happy with that. So if you guys are happy, we'll continue. So first thing I'm going to do is grab that number 1 right there, and we'll put a drop shadow on that one also, and we'll just give that a 3 and a 3 on the offset, and that will do. Okay, so next thing I want to do is kind of give this maybe a shooting star effect by bringing in a rectangle over here, like it's zooming across the page. So we're going to come over here, grab our rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw out a rough rectangle. And grab our move tool. I'm going to try and line that up to the center of the double star, which is around there. And I might make it a little bit smaller because I want these points to stand out and not necessarily blend into that shape. So I'm just going to drag that in just slightly. That is fine. So once you guys have got the size you're happy with, I then want you to come up to this top menu bar and select Convert to Curves. And once you've done that, we are going to grab our node tool, the white one over there. And we're just going to adjust both of this top and bottom one here, just by pulling it down, just by making it bigger on this end, and drag that up to get something you're happy with. So for me, I think I'm quite happy with that, the way it is. And once you've got a size you're happy with, then let it go. And then we are going to combine these two shapes together. But like I said before, it kind of looks like that's too close to combining itself with that one. So I'm going to adjust that slightly. Let's bring it down a little bit. If you guys are happy to do that, it's up to you. I'm just going to bring this up again just to line it up. Maybe just a little bit higher just so it blends into that one. It doesn't have to be dead center. Okay, so once you've got something you're happy with, we're going to bring that down under the double star. We're going to select both of these by holding down Command. And we're going to come up to the add symbol up here. And we're going to put them both of them two shapes together. Just like that. So that is looking pretty good. Okay, so now we're going to select the shape. We're going to grab our fill tool. And we're just going to delete these and we'll start again. So I'm just going to give that a lighter yellow to start with. And then we'll put a gradient on that. So if we come up here to the left hand side and we choose gradient, and we'll just get either a darker yellow or a black. We'll try darker yellow first. Okay, something like that is fine if you guys are happy with that. Like I said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so I don't want to spend too much time on this specific design. And once we've done that, we can mess around with the type to see if you get anything that you like a little bit better than what you already had. Not major changes, so I think we'll just leave it the way it is. Okay, so that is what we have got so far. And what I want to do now is just put a drop shadow onto our star shape here. Just come down to the effects again, down to outer shadow, and we'll give that a 3 pixels and a 3 pixels and see how that looks. So that is okay. Okay, so really the final step of this card for it to be complete is just to add maybe just some text here, just maybe a poem or something like that, or just a message that you want to give to your kids, something they can keep forever. So to do that, we're going to grab our artistic text tool. In fact, no, we're not. We are going to grab our text frame box tool and we're just going to drag this out. And you just got to start typing in whatever you want to put in here. I'm probably just going to make something up, just put together a quick little poem or something. But at this point, I will pause the video and just put it back on after I've finished, so you guys aren't sat there watching me trying to come up with something. And once I come back, you'll see what I've wrote. I'll read it out to you, and you can copy that if you want to, or you can come up with your own thing. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Okay guys, so what I've come up with quickly is just a short poem which could have been written by both parents for the children. You guys are welcome to copy this if you want, or use it in fact if you like. This is something I made up on the spot. It don't belong to anybody else. So all I did was copy the same font we got up here, which is Great Vibes, and copied the drop shadow on the back. And what I've written here is, every time we look at you, we've seen you both learn something new. As we look into your eyes, we feel such love brought to our lives. Together you've learnt to crawl and mumble. Together you've learnt to stand and tumble. It's been a full year since you joined our world and became our beautiful boy and girl. Now open up your presents and have some fun. We hope you have a great day. Love your dad and mum. Okay, so it's not great, but it's something that I can just give you as a tutorial. And once you've got that and lined up, got your font size and everything you want, you are pretty much done here. And we're just going to have a little look over, see if there's anything we want to change. Like straight away, Toby is too dark. I want a lighter blue for that one, I think. So I'm just going to try and find something I'm more happy with. That colour there is better. Same as Jessie. I think I might make her a little bit more that colour. And this is probably the same. I want to make it a little bit lighter. So just bring that down, and same with that blue. More of a baby kind of blue. Something like that. and could possibly shrink Toby a little bit. That's looking better. And these are just the final steps. Just look over your design and see if there's anything that you're unhappy with. This number 1 here, I think we need an outline just to, because it's a purple anyway, it kind of shows more with Jessie than Toby. So if we give that a outline of blue, then we are combining both of these kids into the design. So we just sample that blue and we'll just give that a bigger radius of maybe 2 pixels. Sometimes you have to put this in manually because it can be quite awkward. Just like that. And I'm happy with that. I think I might make today a little bit bigger, so it stands out a little bit more. And then just line it up once again and use your arrow keys if you want to line it up differently. I'm just going to try and line that D up inside of that 1, or we could even make that bigger and let it stand slightly outside it. So I am happy with that. I think this has turned out pretty good for something we just came up with. Actually looking at it, I think I just want to make that a little bit brighter as well. So we're just going to come and change that yellow for a lighter colour. So maybe like that. Like I said, these are your final touches. Once you've got your design all laid out, you can come back and change colours and fonts and stuff. But this is looking pretty good. So all I want you to do now, if you want to, you don't need to do this step, is we're going to select all of this. I'm just going to close these. I'm going to select all of this by holding down the shift button. I'm going to hit Command G to group it. And then we are just going to open up a new canvas. And I think we'll just go for web for the sake of this, and we'll just choose a HD size. So full HD right there, a 1920 by 1080. Don't worry about any of this. It's just as quick preview to show you an effect that you can do. And just going to zoom out a little bit and come over to our stock section like we did before. And I'm just going to look for a table and see what we can find. Drag that in. Okay, I'm just going to zoom out now just to fit this into the frame because it's far too big. So just drop that down. And then we can zoom back in with Command 0 to fit to screen. And if we just drag that all the way in. One thing I generally don't like about Affinity is if it comes out of the canvas, I think it should just disappear into the background, but it doesn't. It just overlays it, and I don't like that at all. I think it'd be easier to work with if we couldn't see this here inside of the black, but it's just one of those things we've got to live with. So I'm going to drag that now just to fit that. I'm just going to drag this across. We're not keeping this, so it doesn't matter. And I'm just going to leave it like that. So once we've got that, we're going to come back over to our card that we just made, back over to our layers. And we're just going to make a copy of that. So Command C, back over to our table, and we're just going to Command V to paste that in. I'm going to drag that down to make it smaller. We're going to put that on a little bit of an angle, hold down Shift. So 15 degrees is probably okay, and we can just size that to a size that you're happy with. And we'll put a drop shadow on there of maybe 5 and 5. And there you go. There is generally a birthday card sat on the table. So it's always good to put your design onto a table or something else in the background, a wall, just to see how you know it would look when you print it. So there it is, guys, the final design. I hope you like it. It's really straightforward to do. If you guys are familiar with Affinity Designer, you could put this together in 5 minutes. It won't take you long at all, but it's definitely worth doing it. It's something you can keep forever, especially if you write your own poem and you keep it in a box till your kids are grown up. Like I stated, it doesn't have to be for twins. I just chose to go for twins because it's not something you see often, and I like to kind of do tutorials that haven't been done before. And like I stated before, guys, if you use any of these images, make sure you give credit to whoever took the photo. And you are welcome to use this poem that I wrote. It's not something I need to keep. I don't have twins myself. So feel free to do what you want to do with that. Change the colours of your balloons, add more balloons, do whatever you want to do with this design. It is going to be your design. So I hope you have fun creating your next birthday card. And it doesn't have to be a birthday card, guys. This could be an anniversary card. This could be a Valentine's card. It could be anything you want The principles all apply to any different design. You just got to add photos and text. That is all we have done here. There's nothing complicated and anybody can do it. This is not a talent, guys. It is a skill. This is something you can learn. So please do not feel discouraged if it doesn't work out well on your first try. Just keep on doing it, and before you know it, you'll be doing great designs in no time. So for now, guys, I'll say bye and I'll see you in the next video.